What is up, everybody? Thanks for checking out Hunt, Shoot, Live. This is part 2 of my Luxe Megahorn and also their titanium stove review. This is the field review. We are in the mountains of Idaho, 8,000 feet, and it came a snowstorm. You can see it weathered really well. I've been able to tie it off to some trees and stuff. Tent has done fantastic. Excellent wind block. About the best conditions possible to give a true review of the tent. You can see we're decked out on the inside. Zach and I are loaded down. Prepared to stay in the mountain all week long. For 2 people, we've got our tarp here. You see the stove is offset to the side just a little bit. We've got our tarp down and plenty of room for me and him to sleep last night. I slept on that side. Put our gear back here. Still had a little sort of wet, dry area here where you can put your boots on and come in and out as you need to. And then also got plenty of place for wood right there. So I'm very pleased with this tent. The wind, as the storm was blowing in last night, the wind was terrible, which you can hear right now. The wind is still terrible. 15, 20 mile an hour winds. And this thing is an excellent wind break. It really is. You can see it's shaking right now. And snowing outside. And it's very comfortable in here. Even without the fire, it was comfortable all night. We actually didn't start the fire until just now. Got the fire going. You can see the stove works fantastic. I love this viewing window. Not all of these stoves have the viewing window, but it's super easy to put together. I love the flat top on it. You know, if you wanted to cook, you could cook off of it, and oh, that heat feels so good this morning. You know, you get your spark arrestor and your dampener right here. Control the flame that way. My only criticism, and this is just for teepee tents in general, where we had to set up, it's not completely flat, and you know, it's a little finicky to get a teepee tent set up when it's not flat, but we still got it, and it's perfect. And like I said, we had 15 and 20 mile an hour sustained winds last night, and it did just fine. Breaks the wind well. This morning had to knock the snow off the outside, and it held up just fine. It seems like the way that it's made around the bottoms with that skirt on the outside, it's almost like it catches, because even when it rained last night, I was kind of concerned about water seeping in underneath, and it didn't. So I guess that skirt really helps to kind of push the water off in the right direction. And then especially when it snows, you kind of end up with whereas before the wind was kind of getting underneath the skirt just a little bit, now that it snowed, we're sealed in here. So that little skirt on the outside, it's there for a reason. Very handy. Zach, what do you think? I'm completely satisfied. I don't know what else you wanted to do.
It was we probably had some gusts of 40 mile an hour last night. Really.
This thing was rocking.
This middle pole, it was beating me, waking me up, but it stayed up, didn't fall. I could feel just a slight breeze, and that was it.
Yeah.
So it was really good.
I would say this is what you want when you purchase a tent like this. This is what I wanted. I don't know what else more that I could ask for. It's not incredibly heavy to backpack in. I flew it on the plane. You know, I was able to get all my stuff with just a carry-on and one check bag, and breaking the wind, holding off the snow. Stove is working great. Feels great. I wanted to show too, actually using the flat top of that stove. Man, it works super great. I already got my water I just put enough in to boil for my coffee, and 2 minutes, 3 minutes, it was good and warm for coffee. So I thought, well, shoot, if it was that easy, I'm just going to go ahead and do it again for my my mountain house meal this morning. And so that's pretty handy. You know, again, if you're thinking about these stoves, you really want to consider one that's got the flat top. That's a cool little feature. I know some of these stoves don't have the flat top. Even if you don't have the stove, we didn't even fire up the stove until this morning when we got up, and just sort of have it now just to keep us nice and toasty. But last night, just having that wind broke is huge. With this particular tent, I would say if you can get the internal tent to go with this. I mean, if you did that, you wouldn't need a stove. You get the windbreak of the tent and then get inside an internal tent within that, I mean, you would be good to go. So it's very impressive. It makes a huge difference to have a tent that's made to stay in 4 seasons. I saw people complaining online about how much firewood this takes, and honestly, it has not taken a lot. Get it going really good, and you know, you're keeping stuff on it. You put something about like this on it every 15 minutes, and it will keep it going just fine. You know, this wood right here, I'll show you how much wood that we've got. We had maybe a quarter more than that when we got started. So does really good. I don't think, you know, you won't be able to expect this to stay on all night long. You're not going to be able to burn all night long. Once you fall asleep, probably within about 45 minutes, it's going to be out. But if you're staying awake, and every 15 minutes you just put a little log on it, you know, about this size, and I've got some too, even this is a really good size. Put them on like this, you know, and just about one of those every 15 minutes is going to keep it going, because you're not trying to, you're just trying to stay warm, trying to knock the chill off. The tent's already doing that, so it's capturing some of the heat. So I think it has been a lifesaver. Today we would have not been able to stay in the mountains with the snow and the wind like this, but this tent and this stove has made all the difference. And just to brag on the tent again, really, with good gear, with good clothes, we wouldn't have had to have the stove. The stove is an added luxury. You do get a little bit of condensation, but you know, that's to be expected, obviously, when you got 2 guys breathing and hanging out inside of a tent all day. You know, you've got big enough of a footprint that the condensation doesn't seem to be a problem. Anything that you put around the edges, though, is going to get a little bit wet, so you got to keep the jackets and that kind of stuff away from the edges. So I hope you enjoyed this. This is part 2, of course, to this review. The Luxe Megahorn Tipi tent and their titanium stove. I'm glad I bought them. You know, 8,000 feet in the mountains of Idaho, snow and 20-30 mile an hour sustained winds all night long and most of the day, and we've made it just fine. Hung out playing cards and all that. So you know, if you're going to do that kind of stuff, this will make the difference. I highly recommend it. Thanks for checking out Hunt, Shoot, Live. Appreciate you. Be sure to check us out every week. Got new videos every Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, God bless.